When you think of Electronic Arts, or EA for short, a lot of names might come to mind. For many gamers, it's synonymous with some of the biggest franchises in the industry: Madden, FIFA, now called EAFC, Need for Speed, and Skate, among many others. EA once stood tall at the peak of the gaming world, releasing titles that dominated sales and defined genres. But something happened along the way. How did EA, especially its sports and racing games, which I will focus on in this video, fall from the lofty heights of dominance to where we are today? Despite EA's massive success, their creative spark seemed to fade as the company leaned into business models that prioritized profit over player experience. My name is OneHip, and thanks for clicking on this video. I'm going to break down the origins, peak, and eventual decline of sports and racing games created by EA. I'll also go through EA's glory days, the impact of the global financial crisis, the rise of microtransactions and Ultimate Team, and even take a look at the new Skate game as a case study. Finally, I'll look at what the future might hold for the company and its franchises. Anyway, here is the decline of EA sports and racing games. Let's go. Electronic Arts was founded in May 1982 by former Apple employee Trip Hawkins. Originally established in San Mateo in California, the company's main headquarters is located in Redwood City, with many other studios around the world. EA were pioneers in the early home computer gaming industry, and after exclusively being a publisher, they developed and published their first game internally in 1987, Skate or Die. This was the start of their shift towards internal game development, and in particular, the beginning of their foray into sports games. As well as with other game genres, EA became an established sports game brand when a contract was signed with the late John Madden, a former professional football coach and commentator, to develop and publish licensed NFL games under the Legend's name. This was at the request of Hawkins himself, who was obsessed with simulating a sports game. He once went on the record to state that the real reason he founded EA was because he wanted to make computerized versions of paper and dice-based sports games, such as Stratomatic. The famous Madden NFL franchise, which started with John Madden Football in 1988, would yield annual releases which are still being released today. Deals for other sports franchises were made in the 90s, with professional bodies such as FIFA for association football, or soccer depending on where you live, NHL for ice hockey, PGA for golf, and NBA for basketball. These would all fall under the label EA Sports, which had become synonymous with high quality and engaging sports games for at least 2 decades.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
EA also found success in the racing genre, with 1994's Road and Track Presents The Need for Speed, a critical and commercial success. This became the first installment in the influential Need for Speed series. EA saw huge success in the racing and sports spaces across the 90s, and in the 2000s, they had hit their peak with these popular genres. By the 2000s, EA was on top of the world, and the company dominated the sports and racing genres. In addition, they took over publishing games in the Burnout series after Acclaim's collapse, starting with Burnout 3 Takedown, which bolstered their racing game offerings. Madden NFL 2005, released on August 10, 2004, was a cultural milestone. EA's focus on authenticity, presentation, and licensed content created a near-perfect simulation of football. Its long-standing franchise mode is considered one of the best in the series. On the other hand, the Need for Speed series was going through a golden age. 2005's Need for Speed Most Wanted was one of the most iconic racing games ever made, combining thrilling street racing with a deep story and fast cars. And then there was Skate. EA's Skate trilogy introduced a refreshing, realistic take on skateboarding, something that felt far more grounded compared to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. EA took the rebellion from Skate or Die that they created decades earlier and made the skateboarding genre feel fresh. In the year 2000, the label EA Sports Big was created, which focused on creating more arcade-style sports games, including snowboarding franchises such as SSX, wrestling games like Def Jam Vendetta, and the Street series of sports games from brands that already had long-standing deals with EA. During this time, EA Sports and racing games were thriving. The company's strategy was simple: release yearly installments of popular franchises with just enough innovation to keep the players coming back, as well as releasing more casual versions to cater to those who didn't want to feel like a member of the coaching staff when playing their favourite sports game. They had perfected the formula for success. EA's dominance was at an all-time high, and it looked like nothing would stop them from releasing one quality title after another. But as the world was about to enter a financial storm, EA would soon face challenges that would change the way they approached game development forever. In late 2007, the world began to experience a Great Recession, which culminated in the global financial crisis of 2008. As a result, EA had a poorer than expected 2008 holiday season, and the much-loved EA Sports big brand ended in the same year as a response. In February 2009, and as a more impactful response to this sale downturn, approximately 1,100 staff, or around 11% of EA's total workforce, were laid off across several of their acquired studios. In November of the same year, another 1,500 or 17% experienced the same fate. Like many other industries, the gaming world was shaken by the economic downturn. EA, which had been riding high on its sports franchises and its yearly release model, had to adjust. The company had to reconsider its strategy for growth. With the global crisis shaking the foundation of their revenue streams, EA began shifting their strategy to depend more on microtransactions and downloadable content, marking the start of their transformation into a games-as-a-service company. These features were a response to broader changes in the industry, signaling a large shift to monetization strategies. EA wanted to be a big player in this emerging way to sell content to consumers. Games that used to be finished products were now seen as services that could be continuously monetized. But what started as a method to maintain profitability soon evolved into something more insidious. If you're enjoying this video essay, thank you so much for sticking around. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to watch retrospectives on some of the more memorable extreme sports and racing games in EA's catalogue, such as Skate 2, Need for Speed Underground 2, and Burnout 3 Takedown, among other games from other studios. Anyway, back to the video. This brings me to one of EA's most controversial and lucrative innovations: Ultimate Team. Ultimate Team was first introduced in FIFA 09, but took off with FIFA 10, and it wasn't long before it became a staple in every major EA Sports title. The idea was simple enough. Players would build their own team of real-world athletes by buying packs of random player cards with in-game currency, with the option to spend real money to get better cards. While Ultimate Team started as an optional feature, it quickly became the centerpiece of EA Sports games, steering the franchise towards profit-focused decisions rather than gameplay innovation. While Ultimate Team became a huge money-making machine for EA, it also attracted a lot of criticism. The mechanics behind it were seen by many as predatory, encouraging gambling-like behavior, especially with microtransactions tied directly to gameplay advantages. In the world of EA Sports, Ultimate Team became more important than the actual sports themselves. Players were no longer just fans of football, basketball, or hockey. Rather, they were players in a game designed to make money. EA continued to pump out Ultimate Team modes in nearly every major sports game, further reinforcing its role as a key revenue driver. And while it made EA more money, it alienated a portion of the player base that felt the focus had shifted away from actual gameplay to monetization. EA's pivot towards microtransactions and live services isn't just about Ultimate Team. It was part of a larger shift in their business model. EA's obsession with recurring revenue became evident as they moved towards a games-as-a-service approach, much to the irritability of longtime fans of their games. Instead of focusing on creating full-fledged, standalone titles like Need for Speed Most Wanted or Madden 2005, EA shifted to a model that was more reliant on live updates, microtransactions, and DLC. Games like Need for Speed Unbound are a reflection of this, offering regular content drops but also leaning heavily on in-game purchases to keep the lights on. This constant flow of monetization can leave players feeling like they're not getting the complete experience unless they spend extra cash. The problem with this approach is that it creates a disconnect between the player and the game. Instead of feeling like you're getting the full product, you're left with the sense that something's missing, that you'll need to keep paying to unlock what was once available for free. And in the case of the always online Skate reboot, EA are dabbling into offering a free-to-play version of a beloved franchise with a strong emphasis on microtransactions. After the first Skate game was released in 2007, it quickly became a fan favorite, praised for its realistic approach to skateboarding and innovative controls. It wasn't just about the tricks, it was about the feel, the freedom of movement, and the authenticity. It truly immersed you in skateboarding culture at the time, even if you were not part of that scene in real life. Its sequel, Skate 2, which was released in 2009, is considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest, skateboarding game of all time. Skate 3, released in 2010, became a beloved cult classic, with a revival in the mid to late 2010s thanks to its hilarious ragdoll physics and glitches. But after Skate 3, the series went dormant. Despite the demand for a new entry, EA kept quiet about the future of Skate for nearly a decade. That is, until 2020, when Skate 4 was finally confirmed. EA took a different approach with Skate 4, promising fans a more player-friendly experience with a focus on community and creativity. While many fans were hoping for Skate 4, they were met with a free-to-play reboot that leaned heavily on microtransactions, simply called Skate, making it feel less like the authentic skateboarding experience that they had come to love. While there has been praise for Skate's gameplay from content creators and playtesters of the pre-alpha version of the game, criticism has been raised regarding its visuals, and most notably, its conveniently accessible in-game skate shop, where you can buy items such as boards and apparel either with in-game currency earned through gameplay or by using real money. I've already made a video on my thoughts about this upcoming reboot, and I'll leave a link in the end card of this video and in this description, so I won't go into much detail here. But the question is, will this new approach lead to the revival of the franchise, or will it be swallowed by the same corporate strategies that hurt their other titles? Simply put, will it be Skate or die? We will wait and see. Looking ahead, EA's future in sports and racing games is uncertain. With the launch of the Skate reboot and the continued success of EAFC and Madden, EA is still a giant in the gaming industry. But there are questions about the long-term sustainability of its business model. The company has doubled down on live service models and microtransactions, and while these are making money now, it's unclear if they can continue to do so in the future. Players are getting tired of the pay-to-win systems and the constant push for extra spending. Plus, with growing competition from other developers and the rise of subscription services like Xbox Game Pass, EA may need to adapt if it hopes to maintain its dominance. As more gamers turn to indie titles and subscription services, EA might have to reconsider their approach. Because if the industry standard of AAA titles keeps plummeting, even the giants will have to face the music. So, what went wrong? EA's focus on monetization over creativity, combined with a shift in gaming culture and player preferences, has led to a decline in both their sports and racing games. However, there's still hope for the company, if it's willing to learn from its past mistakes and refocus on delivering complete, enjoyable gaming experiences. As for me, I'll be keeping an eye on the Skate reboot and any new racing games they offer in future, as it has been reported that EA may shelve the Need for Speed series for good. I hope that EA finds a balance between profit and player satisfaction like they used to many years ago, but I won't hold my breath. Thank you so much for watching this video essay. Have you stopped playing EA games because of the microtransaction-heavy systems, or are you still holding out hope for a return to form? Which EA game had the biggest impact on you growing up? Or is there a forgotten gem from EA's past that you'd love to see make a comeback? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, and subscribe for more videos like this in future. You can also watch my Skate Reboot Thoughts video, as well as retrospectives I've made on different racing and extreme sports games, including those from EA. If you'd like to support the channel further, there are links to channel memberships and my Ko-fi page, but honestly, just being here and watching is all I need. Thank you so much for that. My name is OneHip, and you have a good one. Bye!